forgotten. In overall history, in the civil rights movement, when I purchase books or newspapers or look up old articles or anything like that, I can't find it. No one speaks of us. They speak of Ruby Bridges, they speak of Arkansas 9, and a few other people. But our group, and we're not the only group that's been forgotten, but our group is the group that I'm fighting for. We've been forgotten.
Following the American Civil War, the Reconstruction era was largely dedicated to rebuilding America after the damage of slavery and the war. Although slavery was abolished at the start of Reconstruction in 1865 and African Americans were supposed to be on the road to equality, black people were far from truly being recognized as equal to white people. In the South, Jim Crow laws were put in place in 1877, enforcing segregation by race. These laws ensured that white people were completely separated from people of color in practically all divisions of life. They made sure that people were separated by skin color in public transportation, schools, restaurants, theaters, and many other places in the towns. In the court case Plessy v. Ferguson, this concept was described as separate but equal, and this classification stuck. However, in the Brown v. Board of Education case in 1952, the lawyer Thurgood Marshall argued the segregation in schools was not equality. After some hesitation by the Supreme Court, in May of 1954, it was announced that the court declared separation by race in schools as unconstitutional, and integration was made possible. 2 years later, in 1956, Clinton High School became the first Southern school supported by the state to be desegregated when 12 African American students, now referred to as the Clinton 12, made a history-making, heroic trek up East Broad Street and through the doors of a previously all-white school. After that monumental verdict of Brown v. Board of Education made integration in schools possible, the Clinton 12 suffered a variety of tragedies, from racism by the community to the bombing of Clinton High School, but in turn galvanized triumph in civil rights and further movements of integration.
With the integration of the Clinton 12 came tragedy for the school and the students attending the school. While the school was technically desegregated, what went on inside the school regarding treatment of the colored students had not changed or improved. In an interview with Joanne Allen Boyce, one of the members of the Clinton 12, she recalled certain actions toward her and the other students that made her feel unwelcome and unincluded in the school.
Well, the acts of hatred came in the forms of things that happened inside the school. And yes, as we walked to school, when the crowds began to grow, we had, rotten food thrown at us, and of course, we were called all kinds of terrible things, including the N-word, but we were called coon and remember them. But those kinds of cruel acts happened every day. Inside the school, they would yank my hair, and they would take my braid or my ponytail, and they would yank it down real hard, so my head would snap back. And they would step on the back of our heels. We had to watch where we sat because there would usually be tacks in our seat. So those were the acts of hatred.
James Kane, brother of Bobby Kane, also remembered not being allowed to play sports with the white kids or being allowed to dance on the same side of the floor at prom and other school dances.
Supporters of desegregation in the South were also often accused of being communists or traitors to God. For example, the newspaper The Watchtower in 1958 quoted Corinthians 15:39, where it states, "All flesh is not the same flesh," and used this to ridicule anyone who treated people of different skin colors as equals, claiming that God created races to be separate.
In addition to the harsh treatment inside the school, the protesters outside of the school made getting to and from school challenging for the students. Reverend Turner was working at the First Baptist Church of Clinton in 1956 when he attempted to escort the 12 students to school. In this spot, he was beaten and attacked by protesters outside of the school. In addition to this, he received hate mail calling him and others offensive and hurtful names. Principal Britton, who was the principal of Clinton High School during the time of the Clinton 12, reported that he got many threatening phone calls from those angry with the decision that wasn't his. The most known tragedy for the school and the Clinton 12 would be the massive bombing that destroyed the original Clinton High School on October 5, 1958. Reports show that there were 75 to 100 pieces of dynamite spread in 3 places throughout the school. When the dynamite went off and the school was destroyed, the students attending the school were moved to Linden Elementary School. The old high school was rebuilt and is now Clinton Middle School. Though investigations were conducted by the police in the area, no one was ever arrested as the two main suspects for the crime both died while the investigation was taking place. The case was closed shortly after.
Family had a large impact on the 12, not only as a support system, but also with the history of the civil rights movement. Families received several acts of hatred and violence towards them that hurt them emotionally. Many sources state that there were burning crosses and the bombing of African American neighborhoods. Miss Joanne Allen Boyce recalls staying nights in her church as her father and other African American men guarded them from the KKK and other violence.
One or two nights we actually slept in our church because of threats to our safety. All the women and children went to the churches and spent the night. The men would lay out in the bushes with guns to protect the black neighborhood. The Ku Klux Klan came through several times. There were bombings in the neighborhood. Fortunately, nobody was ever hurt.
Miss Boyce says this caused friction with the trust her family had with the white people. However, despite all the hardships that these students and their family endured, all the courage and tragedy led to immense triumph. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed by the United States Congress, banning segregation and discrimination in all public facilities. President John F. Kennedy acknowledged that the violence towards African American people was neither fair nor equal, both in the communities and integrated schools such as Clinton High School and the Little Rock Central High School, the site of the more widely known Little Rock Nine from 1957. Kennedy passed this act against racial separation because he argued that the nation will not be fully free until all of its citizens are free. Back in 1957, a white student had written in the yearbook of Gloria Carlmark, one of the Little Rock Nine, "In a different age, we could have been friends."
But then another girl came and signed my book. She wrote, "In a different age, we could have been friends."
And this student was right. Things were changing, and it all was catalyzed by the Clinton 12. Nowadays, we are able to interact with and share experiences with people of other races without consequence, and although we honor groups and figures of Black history, the Clinton 12 is a lesser-known movement that has just as much influence. Clinton Middle School, formerly Clinton High School at the time of the integration of the 12, worked to create a memorial plaque on campus to help inform its students of their school's alumni monumental history. Kevin Powers, a teacher on this project, recalls that this project was a long process, but the monument now resides outside of the building to remind everyone of the struggles that the Clinton 12 that led to the triumph in the nation.
The tragedies that the Clinton 12, as well as others, endured is the reason that we get to live free from racial barriers. We get to look to modern public figures such as Barack Obama and Tiger Woods. Descendants from the 12 even appear on popular television networks like actor Cameron Boyce on Disney Channel. With it being the first time that Black students attended school with white students in the South, the integration of Clinton High School is one of many things that encouraged equality for people of all races and pushed for political and cultural triumph in society.
Because once they integrated the high school, that was the only option for him. I mean, my parents couldn't afford to pay any of the tuition or anything to send him to Knoxville, so that was the only option. I'm sure they were worried about it and concerned about it, as any parent would be, sending your child off into something totally new to them. So, but I think once the decision was made,